Guess what we just did? We just saw
Spider-Man.
No Way
No Way
Home.
Home. That's
No
it.
Way Home. Yeah, so they have these nice subtitles. So No Way Home. And so what'd you think?
Well, without giving any spoilers away, and we'll do more of a review later on.
Yes.
But overall, I'm overwhelmed. Like it was an event. Like I don't think I was prepared for what an event movie it was going to be.
It's a huge event. I mean, they took their time with it, 2.5 hours. So, but they gave you like substance for your time.
A lot.
A lot.
I mean, it was non.
It was emotional roller coaster up and down. But you know me. I'm not a Marvel person.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so
you didn't like the Eternals.
I did not.
You did not.
I did not. And there have been a few others I didn't like.
That's
but we do have somebody here that can step in and talk about her response. I'm on a moonwalk on out of here.
Okay,
Hello.
so tell us a little bit about what you thought. We don't want to give away any spoilers.
Right.
Oh gosh, there's so much. Multiverse isn't a spoiler, right?
No.
No.
At this point, no.
Yeah, so that part I thought was really good. Maybe Into the Spider-Verse does the multiverse a little bit better. But I think overall the stuff about fate and all of that stuff really connect. I think thematically the film was pretty strong.
We don't want to give away surprises, but was there something about the movie that surprised you that you weren't expecting that you would feel?
To be honest, the first two Spider-Man movies in the Marvel universe I have not liked because they've been a little bit like overstuffed, which is weird that I'm saying this because there's just a lot in this movie. But I felt like, I don't know, this is like the first time where I really connected with everyone. I don't know why, but so I was surprised by that.
Katie Stetzel, tell us what your publication is again.
TheYoungFolks.com.
TheYoungFolks.com. Okay, so Mitch and I will be right back with our official review.
Our feelings just the other night when we went to our press movie screening of Spider-Man No Way Home. And so I have to ask, are you still feeling the same?
Yes, so I came out of the theater, that grand theater at B&B, which before I say how I felt about the movie, let me tell you how I felt about the theater itself. It was incredible. I think they're trying to be so inventive in the ways that they are sharing stories on screen. And it's this wraparound experience. It's like being in a box with the world happening around you. It was like, whoa, it's Inception, you know? But I will say that it made the movie for me so much more grand. And so it definitely is lingering. I am still thinking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
I am the same way. Actually, that night, I fell asleep thinking about it and all of the possibilities that are happening right now in the Marvel universe because of this movie. I felt like we know the next Doctor Strange movie is called the Multiverse of Madness. I felt we just experienced it.
Yes, I think they are positioning themselves and priming us for the future of the Marvel multiverse. I can't wait. I mean, because at first I was kind of like, are you sure? Because that sounds like convoluted, like how having too many villains in a movie can be convoluted. But the way that they handle this movie with multiple villains, I thought, okay, they might be able to deliver a multiverse and keep it simple and digestible for us. So yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised by how they handled the villains, because I thought it was going to be the typical, these previous Spidey villains have arrived, and we're just going to see battle after battle after battle, and they're trying to send them back and whatever. But the way they handled it and the approach, I thought was kind of inventive. And it wasn't what I was expecting. And I was very pleasantly surprised with how they handled the villains, because there were multiple villains.
Yes.
And there could be some villains people might not be so familiar with if they haven't watched all the previous Spider movies, but you don't necessarily have to see the previous Spider-Man films and other franchises. So I think they did a pretty good job of wrapping it all up in a nice little bow, where if you're just a casual moviegoer, you can still enjoy it and still understand what's going on at the same time.
They took an absolute risk. They said, we're going to make this movie 2.5 hours. Can you stay awake? Can you hold your bladder? What can you do? Right? But they did that so that they could take their time, so that they can give it to us in digestible pieces. I think digestible is my word for this movie, because there are multiple villains, because it is a pretty lengthy runtime. I want to say, of the villains, I am so appreciative that they brought Jamie Foxx back. He brought the humor, okay, to the film, because they give you a very winding emotional roller coaster, that journey into happy, into hurtfulness, into all of these things. They needed that humor, and Jamie Foxx delivers.
Absolutely. And the motivation for each villain gets explained, I think, a little bit better in this film than in some of the previous films.
And then in their original films, Mitch, you better tell them about it, because I was able to really appreciate, they weren't just dun dun dun, I'm a bad guy. There was some emotional weight to them, and so I think actually wrapping back around did them justice. Agreed.
And this is, by the way, a spoiler-free review, because there are a lot of surprises. And like you mentioned, this is a 2.5-hour movie. You are on a roller coaster, and you really don't know what's coming next. And
yes,
and it's not just all about Spider-Man, but it's also about MJ and some of the other characters. Ned, they play big roles in this movie. They're just not left to be just wallflowers. They are in the they're in the mix, and I thought they did a really good job of weaving them into this story as well.
I agree with you. One thing that I've enjoyed about all of the Spider-Man's films is that they do make sure his friendships and his relationships get really good time on screen. And I will agree with you. That was my biggest takeaway, was that some of the surprises, spoiler free, are so thoughtful. Okay. You've heard so much online, and, you're going to get what you're going to get. Right. But some things I was like, unexpected. And it's hard to surprise me, because as critics, we see stuff coming. Like, we know it's going to, even if a movie's not predictable, we tend to be able to predict, because we understand movie making. But there were moments in this movie where I just was floored. Like, I did not see that coming. Oh, yeah. So I was very pleasantly surprised.
Now, it did leave me with a lot of questions and a lot of parts where I'm like, how is this going to work going forward? And where exactly are we at now with the characters? So it didn't wrap a nice little bow around everything, which obviously it is leading directly into the next Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness. Make sure you stay. There's a mid scene, mid credit roll scene, and then there's something at the very end that is more important than that middle scene. And some people might not know what that middle scene is necessarily. And this is kind of what we talked about a little bit. It's making me just a little nervous that now we're bringing in so much that you've got to have seen some other movies and not necessarily other Marvel movies to understand where we're at kind of going forward. So it makes me a little nervous, just a little nervous, because I had somebody ask me, who was that? And I was like, ugh. And I haven't seen those movies, but I know because I pay attention. I didn't see the last movie of this certain thing. And I was like, ooh, I don't know about the casual movie going audience. Are they going to embrace what's about to happen when the multiverse just explodes?
Yes. Well, see, so I'm hoping that this movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, is not just a jumping off point, because it's clearly a jumping off point. Like, this is, like you said, it's not its own contained story. It's your leaping point, right? But what I'm hoping is they're conditioning us to understand that when that multiverse explodes, they will handle it with the same treatment that they handled this, which was careful. I thought they were careful, and with their timing, careful with who they brought in. And so from this one, they have my buy-in, they have my faith in what's going to happen moving forward. But if they rely on the stuff they did with the Eternals, they might lose me.
That is a good point. And I even like that movie. You did not, but that is a great point.
Yes.
All right, so I think that's good. We should leave it there. I think we've ran out of everything we can talk about without giving away spoilers.
That's right. You recommend it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's perfect for this time of year too. This is a time when I remember this time of year is where I would go to movies with my family, and I think it is a great family movie. And those who love Marvel, the Avengers, Spider-Man, all that, they're going to, I think they're going to really love this movie.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us at Flix and Mix. It's Lonita Cook and the cute ass Mitch Weber.
Hi, guys.